Mom, Dad, meet Sophie. Sam's voice echoed as he stepped into the apartment. Son, how long has it been since we've seen you? Oh my God, Charlotte exclaimed, nearly in tears as she rushed to hug Grisha, who had just returned from another city. Hello, Sophie said quietly, observing the emotional reunion unfold. Well, son, what a beautiful girl you've brought us, John greeted with a warm smile. Hi, Sophie. Sam has told me so much about you over the phone. It's wonderful to finally meet you, Charlotte said, beaming at her son's girlfriend. Her gentle nature made her instantly fond of Sophie, who felt like a part of the family right away. Come in, I just brewed some tea, Charlotte added eagerly. Sure, we'll just drop off our bags first, Sam replied, buoyed by the warm welcome. Despite having only received a 2-hour notice of their visit, Charlotte had already baked an incredibly fluffy pie and set the table. Now tell me everything. John initiated the conversation. What is there to tell? I just fell head over heels in love. That's it, Sam said, somewhat distracted. What do you mean? You need to share every detail. How did you meet? Where do you live? What are your plans? Charlotte fired off questions, eager to delve into her son's life. When I moved to Washington, I got a job at a small company selling equipment. And that's where I met Sophie. Sam started reminiscing about their early days. She was my senior manager, and let's say I was under her wise leadership. What a charmer, Sophie said, blushing with delight. He started approaching me more often, then casually invited me for coffee. And that's how it all began, Sam said, happily squeezing Sophie's hand. Oh, how wonderful, Charlotte said, her eyes sparkling with excitement for the couple. Are you living together now? John asked, wanting important details. Yes, we have a rented apartment, Sam replied. Oh, it's such a shame we don't see you more often. Your father and I miss you dearly. Sophie, where do your parents live? Do you see them often? Charlotte inquired, curious to learn about Sophie's family. Sam's expression shifted to concern as he sensed Sophie's discomfort. Sophie cast her gaze to the floor, searching for the right words. Mom, Sophie grew up in an orphanage. She might not want to talk about it, Sam said cautiously. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make things awkward. Charlotte blurted out, unprepared for this revelation. No, it's all right. It doesn't bother me. I just wasn't sure how to express it, Sophie began. From what I know, I ended up in the orphanage because I was abandoned at the hospital. Oh, how terrible. Were you all alone in Washington? Charlotte murmured, sadness overtaking her. No, I was born and raised in Miami. They placed me in an apartment in Washington, so I had to move, Sophie explained. Charlotte winced, an inexplicable horror gripping her heart. The mention of her hometown was unsettling, as it carried its own heavy significance for her. The change in Charlotte's mood was palpable, and sensing the tension, Sophie quickly added, but despite the sad beginning, my life has been good. I've met wonderful people along the way, and I'm really happy with Sam. It's great that you found each other, John said, trying to steer the conversation back on track. You must be tired from your trip. Perhaps you'd like to lie down and rest? Charlotte suggested, hurriedly sipping her tea, eager for some solitude to process everything. Yeah, Mom, Sophie and I will head to the living room and unpack for a bit, Sam said, sensing his mother's shift in demeanor. Do you need help with the dishes? Sophie offered courteously. Oh, no need. I can manage on my own, Charlotte insisted, desperate to finish up and retreat for some quiet reflection. Charlotte found herself grappling with memories that had haunted her throughout her life. Born and raised in Miami, her youth was tumultuous. At just 17, she became pregnant by her boyfriend, dreaming of becoming a loving wife and mother. However, her hopes shattered when her partner left, unprepared for fatherhood. Overwhelmed by familial pressure and gossip, Charlotte made the devastating choice to abandon her daughter at the hospital, a decision that still tormented her. When Sophie entered their lives, a chilling thought struck her. Could this young woman be the daughter she had given up? The idea was too overwhelming, so she quickly pushed it aside. Meanwhile, in the living room, Sam and Sophie unpacked. "Maybe I shouldn't have shared all that with your mom," Sophie said nervously. She seemed really upset. "Don't worry," Sam reassured her. "She takes everything to heart. She's probably just concerned for you." Sam's initial intention was to introduce Sophie not just as a girlfriend, but as his fiancée. He wanted to break the news about their upcoming wedding, but the mood had shifted, making it difficult. Yet he decided to reveal the engagement during breakfast. The next morning, the family gathered around the table. "How did you sleep?" Charlotte asked the couple backslash. "Oh, we slept like logs after the long drive," Sam replied, eager for his mother's delicious pancakes. "What's on your agenda today?" John inquired. "We're planning to find a dress for Sophie's birthday," Sam said. "Oh, Sophie, your birthday is coming up. How old will you be?" Charlotte asked with bright eyes. "I'll be 28, Sophie replied, slightly shy, a bit older than Grisha. "Wonderful. That means you'll always be the wiser one," John joked. The atmosphere was warm and inviting, prompting Sam to seize the moment. "Mom, Dad, I proposed to Sophie. We're getting married in 6 months," Sam announced, practically bouncing on his chair. "Wow, how unexpected. We're so happy for you," Charlotte said, holding back tears. "What a surprise. Wishing you both happiness," John added, clearly thrilled. The wedding plans quickly became a topic of daily discussion. Though the couple had only a week with his parents, their support overwhelmed Sam and Sophie in the best way. "Have a great trip. Be sure to call when you get there," Charlotte said as she reluctantly watched them leave, not wanting to part with them. "I'll take care of her like the apple of my eye," he quipped back, hugging his parents tightly. "Come visit us for the holidays. We'll explore Washington together," Sophie said, genuinely excited about the connection. Once they were gone, thoughts consumed Charlotte. She couldn't ignore the startling coincidences. Sophie had been born in Miami on the same day Charlotte abandoned her daughter. It felt too aligned to be mere chance, especially with just one maternity hospital in the city. Anxiety swelled within her. Part of her was convinced that Sophie was, in fact, her biological daughter. Yet she needed proof. "John, I've decided to visit my sister this weekend," Charlotte announced, trying to keep her tone casual. "Is everything okay? Did something happen?" he asked, his concern evident. "Don't worry, I just miss her. We had a lovely chat recently, and it's been ages since I visited my hometown." "When are we leaving?" John replied, still uneasy about her sudden plan. "I want to go alone," Charlotte said, ensuring her husband wouldn't suspect her true motivations. "Are you sure?" "Absolutely. It's just a little getaway from you. Nothing to drive here. It's a short trip, and I'll be there in no time," she joked, trying to lighten the mood. "Okay." After packing her belongings, Charlotte began mentally preparing herself for what lay ahead. Perhaps this trip would change everything in her life. "I'm off. Have a great trip, my love." 3 hours later, Charlotte was back in her hometown, greeted warmly by her sister Liz. "It's been ages since you were here," Liz exclaimed, embracing her sister. "I've missed you too." The sisters settled into a cozy cafe, and Charlotte's demeanor turned serious. "Listen, Liz, I need to discuss something," she started, her voice trembling. "Does your friend Samantha still work at our maternity hospital?" "Oh my God, don't tell me you're pregnant," Liz teased, not expecting such a weighty question. No, well, I might have found my daughter." "What? You're kidding," Liz gasped, shocked. "It sounds crazy, I know, but Sam brought his fiancée to meet us, and it turns out she was abandoned in our maternity hospital. She was born the same year I had to give up my baby." "Wow, what a coincidence. I'll call Samantha and see if she can dig into the archives." "Thank you. You can't imagine the burden I've been carrying." After a stroll in the park, they returned to Liz's house, where Charlotte anxiously awaited the call that could alter her life. The following evening, Charlotte heard Liz's phone ring nearby. Her heart raced, pounding against her chest. She waited impatiently, each second stretching unbearably. "Charlotte, Samantha just called," Liz announced, her expression serious. "She got the archives, and, just tell me, there was only one abandonment last year. It was you." Oh my God, tears streamed down Charlotte's face as a whirlwind of emotions engulfed her. The joy of potentially reuniting with her daughter mixed with the dread of revealing painful truths to her family. Upon returning home, Charlotte felt an intense nervousness. She knew she needed to confide in her husband first. "Hi dear, how was your trip?" John greeted her. "It was fine," Charlotte replied, shaking, not from the cold, but from anxiety. "Are you okay? You look pale. We need to talk seriously." They sat on the sofa, tension thick in the air. John was alarmed, never having seen his wife so unsettled. Shadows of worry clouded his mind as he waited for her to begin. "John, there's something about my past I've never shared. You never knew why I had to move." John listened intently as she began her confession. "When I was 17, I got pregnant. Due to circumstances I couldn't control, I had to leave my child at the maternity hospital," Charlotte continued, her voice shaking. "What? How could you keep this from me?" John exclaimed, taken aback. "I'm so sorry. It was unbearable to carry this secret for so long, but I had no other choice. I can't believe it. Yes, it felt like my life ended back then. But after the move, I met you. You became my rock, and I truly appreciate that. When we got married, I was unbelievably happy. I dreamed of having children again, but then I found out you were infertile. I immediately thought it was fate's way of punishing me for my hasty decision to abandon my baby. That's when I convinced you to adopt Sam from the orphanage. Veroshka, you've carried this heavy burden alone for so long," John said, tears welling in his eyes. "Thank you for being so supportive, but the worst part is that Sophie is my daughter." Charlotte sobbed. No, how can that be? I don't fully understand it myself, but my trip to visit my sister was to learn about the fate of the abandoned baby. That year, she was the only one who was left at the hospital. Everything fits. Sophie is my daughter. I feel so ashamed in front of her. How can I even tell them this? Charlotte, take a deep breath. John urged, his tone resolute. Sam called today and said they would be visiting us in a week. We'll tell them then. Enough of these family secrets. Lord, grant me strength and forgive me, a sinner, Charlotte cried as she clung tightly to her husband. The days seemed to stretch on endlessly, and Charlotte felt as if time was standing still. But the long-awaited day finally arrived. Mom, Dad, we're home, Sam's voice echoed through the hallway. Oh, darling, we've missed you, Charlotte greeted them, wrapping her arms around the newlyweds. Take off your coats. We just set the table, John said warmly, taking their bags. There was freshly baked pie, a couple of salads, and of course, their favorite roasted chicken. Charlotte had prepared everything meticulously, knowing that she had a significant revelation to share. The couple walked in, radiant and oblivious to the fact that their lives were about to change dramatically. We need to talk to you both, Charlotte hesitated before revealing her secret, laying bare her past in all its painful detail. A heavy silence settled over the room, creating a thick tension that felt suffocating. Minutes dragged on like hours. Finally, Sam broke the silence. I just can't believe this. So you're saying that Charlotte is my mother? Sophie exclaimed, her eyes wide with shock. Yes, forgive me, Charlotte pleaded. Fate brought us together. Not a day has gone by without me regretting the decision to give you up. My life has been filled with torment, but now, here you are, part of our family. In the wake of the shocking revelation, each of them found their own form of comfort amidst the chaos. Though Sam and Sophie's family life began with an unexpected twist, they eventually embraced happiness and harmony, learning to appreciate love and cherish the past.